Number four. Well, it's you just really press the record button on this, even when it's switched completely off, and it will jump into record. It is 4 on the 15th of February, and I'm having some refreshment, which I probably shouldn't be having in light of what I had done last Tuesday. But I couldn't resist anymore. Flo is gone to do some yoga on this Sunday. She's going to be away Sunday night, back Monday. And I am now in the area where I'm finished with my that big job on my teeth. I just found myself chewing something, and I'm always paranoid if I chew something. Is it some piece of skin or something that's come off from the stitched part? The actual implants, I don't really feel them. It's just a slight pressure up there. But what I do is kind of the stitches on the left side of my mouth at the top. They're kind of irritating me a bit, and sometimes my tongue feels like it feels hot, like I've bitten it or something. And I think it's the stitches are kind of irritating me somehow. But it's nothing. I'm so glad it's all done. The stitches will come out in 2 weeks, and then it's just a case of waiting for months and months for everything to kind of integrate properly, and then it'll be Dan who will be putting on the new teeth. But I have my temporary teeth, which are fine. They're a bit smaller than they should be, but I think that's necessary. When I run my finger through my front teeth, I can feel that sense of pressure from where the implants are. And so that I wanted to kind of just say that's finished now. And I'm not the thought, because it's like kind of going on holiday. You have that the pre time when you've got all this idea about what it's going to be like, and the fears and the sense of what could go wrong, even for a holiday, let's say, and you're visualizing yourself going to the airport and getting on the plane and getting off the plane, or you're visualizing yourself, like I have been for a number of months, being in the dentist's chair, which turned out not to be the case, but and how you're going to feel, what it's going to be like. Is it going to really, is the injections going to hurt? All this kind of stuff keeps going through your mind. And the thing I find interesting is that when the actual affair is finished, those thoughts are almost immediately deleted, because there's absolutely no point of them anymore. There's no point, and it's like our mind realizes that, my mind realizes that there's no place to entertain of what will it be like once the what will it be like has been experienced. I know this sounds perhaps stupid, and only myself will understand what I'm talking about, because I spent an awful lot of time thinking about what was ahead for me. And it kind of ties in with this sense of it's such a waste of time. It's such a waste of time to try and predict how this will be or that will be or what will it be like. It's such a waste of time to dwell on it in any way, shape or form. And I know that that's so easy to say and almost impossible to do. The amount of nights that my last thought before going to sleep was, what's it going to be like when the dentist is pulling out my front teeth? That's going to be awful. Or I don't know how many mornings I had when the first thought I had was, what's it going to be like when the dentist pulls out my teeth, or when he starts drilling in to put in the metal implant. It's not metal, whatever it is. But I didn't know, and there's no way of really having any idea about that. And when it happened, it was, it was all right. It wasn't pleasant or anything, but it wasn't so bad. Obviously, I was completely anesthetized. But it's interesting to me because of the enormous amount of wasted energy goes into it. And I know it's very hard. It's hard to just kind of forget about these things. And I have to say I did very well in terms of being able to just forget about the whole business during the day for the last, I don't know, it's been maybe 4 months, maybe even longer. It may have been way back in September or something that this stuff came to light, But the thing I'm trying to get across as well is that even the memory of it is wiped almost immediately once the deal is done, once it's finished. It's the same when you have a holiday in Marbella, or let's say the first time I went to Malaga and I had no idea what it was going to be like. You have all these ideas about what's going to happen and everything, and then you have your holiday and it's obviously never going to be like what you imagined. But the imagined part is scrapped immediately as useless, because now you had the experience, now you had the holiday, and all that pre-stuff is totally irrelevant and useless and forgotten, quickly. And it just makes me think you should try and take this on board so that you realize how dumb it is to be entertaining thoughts of future things that you know nothing really about. You don't know how they're going to be. I say that because right now, for instance, at this moment, Flo was talking to me earlier and she was saying, I am planning on, she said you can get a cheap holiday to Ireland and blah, blah. And I kind of said to her, well, maybe Martina and my mother will go to Malaga in April and I can go visit them there. And that'll give you a week off on your own. But then she said, but the thing is that you're supposed to go to Carla, you're supposed to look for work. You're supposed to see about, maybe you could get a job and maybe you could work for a while and then maybe you could get, come back here and claim unemployment benefit like I did when I left London. And that's on my mind now, that whole notion of, it's a kind of nasty, kind of negative thought to dwell on, because although I can make my mind think that it could actually be quite a pleasant experience. I mean, if I think about it in a very idealistic way, and Martina and my mother would give me the green light about such a thing, then the notion of me working down the road in a supermarket and being at home is not that bad at all, But anyway, that's not the way it is in my mind. It's a complicated thing. It's the notion of, I have to find out about how the system works in Ireland, and then I work there, and I have to come back here, and can I get unemployment benefit paid? And it's kind of wrong, because I'm using the Irish system to get money which I probably don't really deserve, because I don't really live there. And so that whole thinking it irritates me, and it makes me anxious, and it scares me, the thought of all the things that need to be engaged with for such an idea to work, to the conversations you'd have to have with Martine and my mother, and the complications of it, to go back to work, to then come back here, the administration, the forms, the apps probably to download, the stuff to fill out, to try and, if you were trying to work for a while and then be laid off, and then the effort it would take to figure out that system. And then there's a sense I'm kind of cheating as well, that it's not nice to go back to your home country and work for a while and then get them to send money over to France where you're living. I don't know why. But to get to what I was saying earlier, this is exactly the kind of stupidity that serves no purpose at all, because in a way it's a little bit like the whole dental thing. It's trying to preempt something that you have no idea how it would be. There's obviously an understandable sense of frustration with the bureaucracy and trying to understand stuff, and trying to get your head around a puzzle that you don't understand is irritating. But in terms of putting yourself in a position where you're there or this or that, and what's worse about this is that there's absolutely no guarantee whatsoever that this situation will ever arise. There's no guarantees that you will be in Ireland looking for a job at all, It's something that may never ever transpire. Unlike the dental thing, which was it was programmed in, the appointments were made, I'd spoke to the dentist, we'd arranged stuff, he'd explained what he was going to do. That was coming. There wasn't really any doubt that at some point that Tuesday would come and I'd be lying down having this guy putting the implants in. But this whole thing in Ireland it's getting irritated and wasting your thinking on something that's in no way definitive. There's no dates, there's nothing, So it is probably best it's possible to do a bit of research on the subject to find out what the potentials are, but it's a really stupid thing to try and live it in your mind for the future, To actually try to visualize yourself in the position is ridiculous. It's the kind of effort that will eventually be deleted immediately one way or another. It's like the dentist thing, all the thinking of what's it going to be like, how is it going to be, blah, blah, blah. Waking up in the morning, falling asleep at night. All that stuff is gone now. It's like, and yet I spent so much time, but it's like it's been instantly erased because it was pointless. And I realize now it was pointless. And I guess the point I'm making, I wish I could have realized how pointless it was at the time. Although, like I said, these things are hard to stop. It's hard to stop these kind of the rotation of these things in your mind. They just tend to have a life of their own. The battery here is... I think my battery may run out. "16 minutes. I let it go, but I do have a backup batteries. I'm down to 1 bar. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm trying to tell myself, for all this future stuff, don't try and preempt it. Don't try and put yourself in the position. Don't try and experience what's going to be like, because it never will be like what you could imagine anyway. It never really is. It has to be experienced in some way, and the thinking about it, like that kind of classic example of the teeth, is just such a waste. And it's a bit of a joke, As soon as I had my teeth done, it's like my mind telling me, yeah, all that stuff. It's finished now. We're going to erase all that. It was all needless. You're going, really? It was all needless? But I wasted time on that. I wasted so much energy on it. Couldn't you have told me that at the time, that it was all ridiculous? And like I say, there's the inevitable refilling of the space. I didn't know this would happen. I said it even in the heights of the tooth problem, which for some reason gripped me, and it was enough of a future problem to take all my energy in a way that there wasn't much else left in terms of, I could only focus on the one dreadful thing coming in the future, which was my teeth operation. And so a lot of the other stuff, including the eye stuff and even the eye injections, took a back seat. They didn't really have the status anymore to take up that place, But now that it's finished, of course, there is the inevitable feeling that something else will come in to fill the space, And it hasn't even been a week since I had my operation, but sure enough, there is the thoughts, not of my eye, strangely enough, maybe not of the IRM scans, not of the blood tests, funnily enough, but mainly of the situation here with Flo and our relationship and my searching for a job, and the dynamic that all that's caused, and some other things as well, the sense that there has always been certain, well, it's not like the other day when Flo started having a go at me about all these things. It's not like that was the first time. And it's surprising how long it goes back, because the whole business about me fearful about ending up in Ireland again. I mean, in 2022, I had that conversation with my mother, and it was early in 2022, and so me and Flo had a massive conversation that I would have to go back to Ireland, that I couldn't stay here, that I wasn't integrating all that. And this was like we were in the Connemara, and I'm sure the conversation with her goes back further than that. Years back, perhaps. And maybe 10, 15 years ago, we were having similar arguments, because again, I don't remember the date, but I remember getting very annoyed with her one time and telling her to stop telling me about I was going to have to go back to Ireland, and telling her not to keep saying that in an argument, not to bring it up anymore. And that could have been 10 years ago. And I'm still here. So the question is, what do you do? It's okay to say don't get annoyed, and that can work for a long time. It can even work in the middle of an argument if you're in the right place, kind of. But sooner or later, you kind of snap, you know. And you kind of let rip with some stuff. And you'd think I'd be better at the psychology and the philosophy and the spirituality, dare I say it, of this situation. The bigger picture. I know what it was. I was listening to a guy talking. He was analysing the Boy album, Scary Monsters, Super Creeps, and he was talking about the album Because You're Young. And he was explaining what the song was about how two people meet at the beginning, and they're both naive, and they have all these dreams and ambitions, and as the years go by, reality bites, so to speak, and things don't turn out the way they dreamt they would. But there's something in it. There was some lyric or something that was kind. I don't know. It got me thinking. It got me thinking about when me and Flo are discussing this stuff in a negative way. She's going on about the problem, and it got me thinking to myself, Jesus, isn't there anything bigger? Maybe it was something to do with the lyrics of the song that Bowie was talking about, but why are we arguing about these things when it's not life-threatening, when the money is not disappearing rapidly, when there is no threat of being homeless or on the street? Why are we arguing about this stuff? Not arguing, but why are we in that swampy area? Why does Flo persecute me with something that is very materialistic? And that gets me thinking, like I kind of said to my mother, there's a part of me that wonders, is it really got to the point where she can't stand me? But I don't think that's true. I don't sense that when she's here with me in the house she's miserable because of my presence. And she wants me to work, and I'm trying, but is it so desperate that someone is not working that it's like unbearable for her to have someone not working in here? And she says he's not integrated, but he doesn't seem to have a problem himself. It's the thing hit me about God. Couldn't we think of bigger things? Because life is short, all that stuff. Your health is everything. Can't we just be happy and enjoy ourselves as best we can? Instead of creating the environment like Flo has, where it's just not acceptable for things to be the way they are. Let me let the doggy out. Do you want to go out too? Go. Oh, you're yawning. Allez, have a look out. The evenings are stretching up. There's something in this about me. I can't quite put it into words. It's something to do with the kind of Ronnie Dangerfield's thing. If I get no respect, and there's something that I said, and my mother said as well, about it's my home, and I put it to my mother. I said it's just so difficult with someone who doesn't, at those moments anyway, they don't seem to have any empathy. They don't seem to bring any sense of time to the discussion, and they don't seem to have any either understanding, or maybe more so any interest in how you feel. And they don't particularly want what's best for you. They seem to kind of want what's best for them. And I'm saying all this with the knowledge that I understand that I don't necessarily want to be the guy just not working and, living off someone else. But I'm 60, Flo's 56 nearly, we're kind of been around a while. You kind of think someone who's got all this yoga experience and all this spiritual searching would kind of have some empathy for the other person. But I know if she was here now, she would beat me, psychologically speaking. She would beat me down with some very quick words and phrases, and I would not be able to make ends meet with this argument, because she'd have some comeback, and she would end up leaving me speechless, because I can't really argue these points. Does that mean that I'm completely wrong? That I don't think I am. She'd say it's nothing to do with this or that. You just can't stay like this or that. And if I say, but I don't have a problem with the yes, and then she's like, of course you don't have a problem because I'm doing everything. But Flo, you're not doing everything. Oh yeah, well then you get out and earn the money. There's no resolution. There's no trying to understand the other. Am I trying to understand Flo? I do say, Flo, you have a good life. You can do what you want. I guess I think it's unfair somehow, but I'm unable to put my case across very well. And maybe that's because I'm in the wrong. I don't know. Maybe Flo's right, but whatever way I look at it, whatever way I add this up, I always come back to the situation where, as if the roles were reversed, I wouldn't be like that. That I always come back to the thing is that somehow it's difficult not to come to the conclusion that, at least in those moments when we're having these arguments or whatever, that she doesn't care how I feel. that me being unemployed is not going to sink us financially in the near future, and that I am going to keep looking and stuff. But when she says you got to go back to Ireland and try and do this and that, get Martina to help, she doesn't care whether I want to do that or like to do that or anything else. I've said so many times, Flo, I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that. I don't, almost like to go blah, 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 blah. Can you imagine if you're in London and I say go back to your family, blah, blah, blah. But it never seems to change the way she feels about it. She'll still say it, that no, you got to go back. And like I think I said it to my mother, I don't know how clear I was, but that coldness and that kind of the sense that you've been with someone for so long and you've shared so much together, but somehow it's come to this where they don't seem to be too bothered. You being happy at the end of the day is not something they seem to be too bothered about. Let's stop there. I might do another one, but let's just cut 31 minutes. The venting. Just before I finish, to say this, the dental thing comes and goes, and the eye thing, and the IRMs, but this relationship situation and the dynamics between two people will probably never really be resolved. Ever. Probably never be resolved. I don't think me and Flo will ever get... Well, me, Well, let's stop. I'll start again in a few minutes and I'll explain what I was going to say.